Hello, and put your hands up in the air and rejoice, for the saviours of Northern Irish comedy are here. It's the Boy Town podcast with who's Shane Todd, and me, who's
Dave Elliott.
Dave. Dave's my stage name. David's my real name. Don't be giving that out because people might, stalk me and kill me in my sleep. Welcome to the Boy Town podcast. How are we doing, everybody? How are you doing, Shane? You look very... you look crisp. You look young. You look like you've been living in a forest off the grid, just using the finest moisturizers that the earth can give. Well, you look like I'm saying 12, but that's a good look.
Brother, I've been away. I've had some procedures, some treatments. I want to give a shout out to the top plastic surgeons over in fucking Bodrum in Turkey for really sorting me out.
You do know that some of those jobs do go a little bit pear-shaped in the end, some of those Bodrum jobs, yeah. And I've known a few lads who had hair transplants, and let's just say
I got one.
Really bald now. Oh, wow. And how long ago did you get that?
Well, I was literally over there 2 days ago. I got a hair transplant, but then it's difficult to tell whether it's good or not because I have a full head of hair. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I essentially got a hair transplant. I got like the skin in my eyes lifted. I nearly did something there that could have been isolated as a clip and used against me. But I could read this thing. And I actually had this is weird, but I actually had a shoulder transplant.
Nice. I think that's something.
One side.
Can I just say, what is it about shoulder style nowadays that's it's not hot anymore? Like back in the 80s, having very high, wide square shoulders of anything were, they were the thing to do. I think obviously a lot of women and men too for that matter, because this podcast, we're an asexual podcast. We don't care about genders. We all just hop into the bath together. But in the 80s, women would have primarily worn shoulder pads to give them that square shoulder. What about that fashion do you miss? If anything, is that what you're trying to do? Bring that 80s shoulder back to the game, or
how much would I not look weird being on stage for the first show back in an 80s women's trouser suit?
People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at it, and I think that's something you should own. You obviously have some pretty big life events around the corner, so I think changing your style might be something that people would like.
I don't know. Also, I'm giving off a weird Gary Barlow vibe here. I think I'm too close to the camera.
Yeah, what is your camera?
Let me get my jumper off.
Every week, here we go. But he's not on a t-shirt on underneath this. Oh no, there's the nipples. We're going to have to get the snake wrap band to edit out those nipples and maybe make them into those wee pieces of ham that were like bears.
I've heard any of the last.
All right, okay. What I was saying was just that you're going to have to get Ben now to edit your nipples out because it makes the content explicit. So maybe if he just puts those wee slices of ham that look like bears over them, that might be pretty cute. It'd be tasty.
The good thing is one of the procedures I had though was I got my nipples taken off.
Nice. What I know again on this podcast, there's probably
you asking why I got all this done.
I'm going to just get onto that in a wee second, but I do feel like guys don't really need nipples, unless they don't really breastfeed, unless that's something you're planning on doing. Is that why you just got rid of them, or why did you go for the surgery?
Basically, I went for all this surgery because I entered a share and win competition by mistake for the Bodrum Plastic Surgery Company, and
it's a very, very,
very general
name. Yeah, they're fucking about there. It's not hired a PR team to come up with that.
So yeah, I just shared and won basically, and it was 10 treatments of your choice. And after a couple, I was just running out of stuff, so that's why I got my nipples removed.
Nice, but I would have gone for the fingernails first, but
I got these lengthened.
Oh, right. Oh no.
Yeah,
that's definitely not what you need.
No, I'm feeling good. I told you I wasn't going to do the podcast this week. I was like, listen, I'm going to take a break for a couple weeks, but producer Ben then told me he wouldn't pay me if I took a break.
No, that's fair. And you obviously
I thought there was some sort of insurance. I thought there was some sort of paid leave, annual BTH, Town holidays, but apparently not. So I'm back, even though it shouldn't be.
No, so obviously you shouldn't be. Do you want to... In fact, hold on 1 second, because I just realised something really dangerous. Explain to the people why while I go away to fix potentially my house going fire. You explain to why you maybe won't be here in the next wee while. Shoot.
Yeah. I mean, if Dave's house is on fire and the insurance company get involved, they'll probably look at this part of the Boytown podcast wherever he realised that the house was on fire and then continued to ask a question on a weekly podcast called Boytown with his mate. But yeah, essentially, look, I'm taking some paternity leave. I'm going off. We haven't had the baby yet or anything, but, you know, NBC's just really keeping his powder dry, and I don't know what that phrase means, but, you know, just feeling good and trying to look younger. Was there a fire in your house?
No, what had happened was my wife had put some gear on the washing line, which I say, like, whenever you get gear, keep it in the mattress in the bedroom. Don't be just leaving it out. No, she put clothes on the washing line. I could just smell really fresh, like detergent. I was like, this shirt I'm wearing, which I've been wearing all day, smells really fresh. Then I looked up to see that the washing line was like right underneath a spotlight. I'd say spotlight, it's a tanning light that I have in my dining room, and it was just starting to heat it up. So I wouldn't want there to be a fire in the middle of the podcast. Would definitely be a bit of a bollocks, really, it would be fair to say. You know, if you're going off on paternity leave for an episode or two and I end up burnt to death, it wouldn't bode too well for the future of Boytown in that case. So I'm glad it's all sorted.
One thing I think we should do, and basically I'm only going to be here for half the podcast. I'm just letting people know that. Maybe listeners' questions, I'll jump out and then go. But on last week's podcast, we talked about the 10 things done completely out of spite, and we looked back at the nuns and
I know on that matter, a lot of people have wanted to know, are you okay after that?
Yeah, just about. Jesus Christ, the fucking worst thing I've ever read, and it's genuinely the worst thing I've seen, and I've seen some terrible things recently.
Why have you been watching clips of me on YouTube or?
No, why are you doing it? Oh, do you know I've been using my Contico mug quite a lot?
And you enjoyed this cup I've got today?
Yeah, why is Michael Stone on it?
That's not Michael Stone. He's actually he's on my Stein, you know, my beer Stein. Free Michael Stone, and this is my. I genuinely thought you said he's on my stag. I was like, a lot to take in there. No. You're getting married again, and you've invited Michael Stone. 2 Michael Stone. Since you're allowed to get married to dudes in this country now, I thought, you know, why not get married to a real infamous one? You know, then I could be like a gangster small. 3 reasons. I could think of 3 reasons why you should marry Michael Stone. Well, go ahead,
in the 4 category, his hair is fucking dope.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Michael Stone is the only paramilitary who you would say takes culture and tradition to the next level, so much so that he actually cultivated his hair to look like King William of Orange. Like, he's the only guy going around with that, like, 1690 swag. You know, I think a lot of the guys are not sporting the cultural styles from before, because, I mean, you know, most loyalist paramilitaries certainly are just big bald with earrings, whereas Stone, he just had the full King William look. Do you think that's something maybe paramilitary should look to do, is try to respect the history a bit more and maybe start wearing, I don't know, outfits from maybe 1690?
Like, I think it would be funny to see the first brigadier going around to pick up protection money in North Belfast. It'd be funny to see him do it on horseback. Yeah, you know, then also like a doff of the cap.
Yeah, and then the lads going back on horseback and fucking a petrol bomb through your window, and it'd be quite a thing to see that all together. And
I like the idea, you know, the way you would see some pictures, some paintings of King Billy back in the day where he was taking a little bit of a chill in battle, like he was lying back and he had a few boys like pouring water in his mouth and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, was that water?
Well, he's Dutch, so it's probably Heineken, but shit banter, such shit banter. But you'll miss this one. Take a break for a couple of weeks. Yeah, I would just like to see like some well-known brigadiers just like sitting, like, you know, Botanic Gardens, that kind of thing, and just a few like foot soldiers like pouring them a little bit of Rockshore. Because, by the way, why is Rockshore so quickly been identified as a paramilitary drink of choice?
100%. I actually said that to Catherine. We went out for dinner on Sunday, and I was like, why is it? Like, because it was on, was the 12th? It was on the 12th day of July that I went out for dinner, actually, coincidentally, in the sash that my dad wore. And I was there, and I was just having a pint of Guinness, and they were looking at me like it was James Connolly. People are going, "Fuck's he doing drinking Guinness for, a Fenian bastard?"
Yep.
And then you look at everybody else just on the pints of Rockshore with kind of
Rockshore. They love the Rockshore.
They've got the pastel polo shirts on. They've got the earrings, the big heads, and for some reason, you can just hear bits and pieces muffled coming from their pockets. I just love it. That's just the paramilitary style. And again, what's a weird thing? We've talked about the paramilitary pharmacists before, but why do paramilitaries love poppers? They always have them. Like, they have a wee bit of gear and then always poppers just to relax.
The tracksuit bottoms and the sniffies.
Yeah. That's actually a name of
backstage at gigs.
Yeah.
Should we start saying that at gigs? Mm-hmm. Anybody got sniffies for Davy and Shane? Anyone sniffies?
Anyone got sniffies? Yeah. I mean, I'd like to start gigging in tracksuits as well.
I'd like to just gig.
Yeah, that'd be a good. See, in the interim, would you, like, if you found out they're like on the theme of paramilitaries, they're like, listen, we've opened the shebeen, we're looking at a bit of entertainment. Obviously, now, like,
100%.
You know, we can't afford UB40 because we're in the middle of a pandemic. So would you two come along and do a wee set?
100%.
What would your opening line be if you're in a loyalist shebeen? That's your first gig back.
I walk out and I go, any Fenians in? And then that's it. That's it. And then that gets enough laughs for an hour that I then just get paid, and then that's done. And then if I'm doing a that was the loyalist one. If I'm doing like a Republican Party,
yeah, you're in the felons. You're in the felons, right? You're doing.
Okay, here's my opening line.
Yeah.
Okay, Hans in the house, put your hands up. Any Hans about? Give me a shout. No. An hour of applause. I leave.
No, that is very enjoyable. I would just. I wouldn't actually do any material. I would just walk out and just pretend I'm playing Lampeg, and people would be like, he does look like he should be doing that, and people would laugh. And then in the felons, I would do that as well, and they would laugh.
Yeah.
You know, I just need to tell you something. I shaved my nose hair here today, and a bit sneezy. Oh, pardon me. We've got to read this for a bit of sneezing.
Hey, did you? Oh yeah, you did. I was going to say, did you see that Carol Baskin thing? But Dan sent it into.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you that haven't seen it, sorry, I've got the sneezes here. Do you want to explain what the Carol Baskin thing is?
Yeah, so basically, Carol Baskin has been doing from Joe Exotic or from Tiger King has been doing like these videos. Oh my God, you're fucking.
I'm sorry, I'm dying. Oh.
She's been doing these videos on Cameo, which is like a celebrity app where they can read out any message. And she read out one about Rolf Harris. Someone got in touch and said that their friend Rolf Harris was having a birthday. 10 out of 10 funny. Love it when that happens. Love it when people tweet a celebrity, like say like Hulk Hogan used to got quite a lot. Didn't
he always.
Like, me and my dad, big fans.
I think it was always Raw Moat because he was a big lad. You know, Hulk Hogan respects Raw Moat because he was jacked. He was like, I respect your father, brother. And it's like, oh no, it's not his dad, it's Raw Moat.
Yeah. Raul, mate. Right, so look, let's just get back into the most spiteful things that have happened in history. It was great banter last time. We were just going to do the whole list, but then, but we ended up breaking it up because we were having a lot of fun with it and equally also horrified by parts of it. Yeah. So number 6 on the list is Ford built a sports car to settle a score with Ferrari. In the early 1960s, Henry Ford, chief executive of Ford, funny enough, Henry Ford, chief of Ferrari, decided to get involved in auto racing and help build the Ford brand. He tried a shortcut to building a reputation in racing by acquiring the Italian automaker Ferrari, which was already renowned for its racing success. I like his attitude already. It's very NBC to be like, we're going to sell cars, we're going to design cars, and then phone Ferrari and go, give us your car, Ferrari. Ferrari founder Enzo Ferrari proposed a deal in which Ford would pay $18 million for 90% of Ferrari. Once Ford officials arrived in Italy to sign the deal, Ferrari decided that the America's suffocating bureaucracy was unsuitable for his genius and backed out. The suffocating bureaucracy is unsuitable for my genius. I'm backing out. When Henry Ford was told of the rebuff, he decided that the best response was to build his own race car, one good enough to beat the Ferrari at the 24 Hour of Le Mans, the endurance race that was the most prestigious motorsport event around. That was a tall order since since Ferrari had dominated, but Ford's chief engineer, Roy Lunn, fetch me Roy Lunn. Roy, I want you to beat them at Le Mans. He came up with the concept of a two-seater sports car with a low-slung body. Ford teamed up with British automaker Lola to build the car.
You got me on my knees.
Girlfriend.
Yeah.
The Ford beat the Ferrari at Le Mans and dominated the Italians by taking first, second, and third. It also won in 67, 68, and 69. I mean, that is done out of spite, but I feel like Enzo Ferrari started this as like the good guy, and then by the end of that story, I can see why Ford mugged him off, because they were literally in Italy, and he was like, "No, I don't like it."
No, but I mean, I think Ford, I like the way they dealt with that there from Ford. It's been very sassy. I mean, it's like one of those things. Like it's like me saying to you, "Oh, I've decided I'm going to start playing bowls. Like outdoor lawn bowls," and you'd be like, "No, I'm a lawn bowler now," and then you just went out of your way, quit everything to become a better lawn bowler than me, just to spite me, and then you beat me at the Northern Irish Lawn Bowls Championships, which has been held at the East and Paupers Club in East Belfast. So I'll be with that. What's more? I mean, can I be totally honest with you? I feel like that is not as spiteful as chopping your nose and your lips off and then being set on fire. I feel like being beaten in a sport event is a wee bit more. It's more.
It's definitely a mug off.
Yeah,
but it's not being burnt alive.
Like I mean, see, whenever you're basically saying, was that number 10 or number 9? That story.
I think it was 10.
Yeah, so I mean, if that's 10, I'm expecting there to be children being taken away and sold on the black market, or sorry, the absence of colour market. That's what I expect to happen going forward.
Right. Well. Okay, it does. It gets really worse after this, because number 5 is the spiteful road. In China, one thing you don't want to do is incur the ire of government officials. In 2012, a Chinese man named Liu Biogan and his wife learned this lesson when they refused to allow the government to acquire and demolish their home in Zhejiang province, because it was in the path of a planned highway. The elderly couple felt the compensation that the government offered was too low, but that didn't stop the road builders who had purchased and demolished other houses in the couple's neighbourhood. Instead, they simply built the road around the one remaining house and left it encircled by asphalt. As the provincial government may have suspected, the residents, tired of quickly having cars whizzing by their front door and under the windows. A week later, they accepted a slightly larger compensation package. The house was bulldozed and the island they created was paved over. I mean, what's really, really funny about this is the picture of the guy, because what they've done is...
What's the story called, so I can try and find the photo?
So if you go to 10 things done completely out of spite, you'll get the name of my new stand-up special, but you'll also find an article on how stuff works. My next stand-up show may well be called 10 Things Done Completely Out of Spite, because I'm battling against
I've seen this house
at the minute. Okay, number 5. Yeah, you see it?
Yeah, oh no. They've really done him
It essentially is his house in the middle of the motorway. So
I mean, to be fair, it's quite... What is it, 5 stories?
Oh no, I think it's a block. I'm going to say the whole house isn't his. Like,
I was going to say that old Chinese guy's got a hookup, because again, I feel like I'm happy to hear that. Because I watched a show last night about an old Chinese family, and it basically was that they were police officers in China, and they moved to the UK, and they just started basically working at a Chinese restaurant to retire out here. And then he went to work one day, and his wife was murdered. So, that's kind of that, really.
All right, thanks for that, buddy. Yeah. Number 4, painting a house into a gay pride symbol. Now, we're all for that. We love that.
Yeah.
This house, as you can see in the picture, could well be Boytown headquarters. No doubt about it. The Topeka-based Westboro Baptist Church has aroused the ire of quite a few people over the years, not just for what Time magazine's called its violently anti-homosexual views, but also for its members' practice of picking at military funerals to get their point across. But Aaron Jackson, who runs a non-profit called Planting Peace, came up with an ingenious way to control the church group. What?
You say planting penis?
I think it's Planting Peace and then see how it goes.
All right. I mean, planting penis would be a very interesting project that I, for one, would definitely be keen to support. You know, I mean, if there is an article or a group or a funding or a charity out there called Planting Penis, which I don't know what any listen we get in the podcast, I'll plant 3 penises somewhere. I mean, that could be something. Something. What do you reckon about that? What do you think planting penis would entail?
Planting penis. All I'll say is water twice a day and don't use water. You know what I mean? Like I like the idea planting penis. I mean, it sounds horrific to go. Oh, I'm just going to plant the penis. You know.
I mean, it sounds like a band that would open for the Counting Crows in a North American tour. Counting Crows and planting penis on the same bill.
Pave paradise and planting penis
in a parking lot. Yeah.
Pave paradise and planting my penis in Castle Court car park.
Oh, I mean the new Snow Patrol from Belfast, Northern Ireland. It's planting penis. Fucking boogie.
So essentially, yeah, the Westboro Baptist Church. If anyone doesn't know, I think could be described as. And I'm really going out on a limb here as borderline crazy. Like, I would say, it's fair to say that those guys have absolutely lost the run on themselves. And they're all like, homosexuality this, homosexuality that. They talk about it quite a lot. There is not a mission that those guys haven't not watched gay porn. Like, not a mission.
Yeah, you remember that time you were talking about gay porn? Was it the DUP guy was like anti, and he was getting like massages that weren't just muscle based, you know, like he wasn't an athletic physique guy.
Apparently so, yeah.
But you know what?
And look,
if he was just
so obsessed, when someone's so obsessed against something, chances are it's like their own insecurity or something. Like, how often do you see like people that are like, hunting pedophiles and all, and like fucking going out and beating up pedophiles, and then shocker, you find out that this person, pedo, you know? Yeah. It's like you can tell. Sometimes you can. I mean, there's obviously people who do that, and there's people who like probably are like fucking nutcases for like anti-gay things like that actually fucking are into it. But there is a proportion of those people.
Listen, you're digging a hole, but I get what you're saying.
Oh, so are they? That's what they're trying to do.
But see, with that, see if you were like a punter, that's actually, you know, a phrase that people use for betting. Punters are actually arise from paedophile hunters, because back in the day when betting started, people used to put money on whether or not their neighbours or people in their village were paedophiles, and if it turns out that they were right and the money they put on, they got it back. Hence the name punters. But what I just want to say about that is, see if you're one of those guys and you found information, would you not just go to police and be like, here, you can fully arrest that guy, rather than just turning up in a pair of cotton tracksuit bottoms, Fila trainers, and a polo shirt with your dinner down it, going, see you, mate, you fucking dirty bastard.
I think the thing with that is, it's like, we would love to, if we knew beyond all reasonable doubt that someone had been up to that, you would absolutely love vigilante justice in a way, I think. Although sometimes sometimes I'm like, I would like that, and sometimes I don't. But you like to see people have a bad time if they've done something. But then like people like by the way, every paedophile hunter looks like you.
I know. I mean, it's a very bespoke look, which I, of course, if there was the Paedophile Hunter movie, I would be cast as the lead hunter. Hold on, there's a story.
By the way, it'd definitely be an 18.
What? Which would be ironic. Boom, boom. Hold on a wee second. Here's an example of vigilantism not going to plan. This story's called "Doctor Driven Out of Home by Vigilantes." Self-styled vigilantes attacked the home of a hospital paediatrician after apparently confusing her professional title with the word paedophile. It emerged yesterday. Dr. Yvette Cloette, a specialist registrar in paediatric medicine at the Royal Gwent Hospital in Newport, was forced to flee her home after vandals daubed it with graffiti in the middle of the night. The word pedo was written across the front porch of her house she shared with her brother in the village of St Bride, South Wales. Dr. Cloette confirmed she had left the property after the distressing attack. And Inspector Andy Adams, what a great name, has said, it appears to be the case that they mistook this paediatrician for a paedophile, but we're still making inquiries. We want to stress in the strongest possible terms that there's nothing to justify what was written on the walls of Dr. Cloette's home. So,
but how much of that is like the idea of like, in a way, like witch hunt type stuff? Mm-hmm. It is very much like one person thinking that and being like, pediatrician, and then all they do is like when people see like a mob or whatever, it's kind of like Twitter nowadays, but like a literal version of it. You know what I mean? Of like people being like, oh, we have to go and throw stones at this or whatever.
Yeah,
part of that is like, it is funny that she would probably come out and be like, "Listen, I'm a pediatrician," and they're like, "She's admitting it," you know.
And you'd be like, "No, I mean,
what it is."
Can you imagine whenever they figure out they've ballsed up? Oh, bollocks. And they're like, she's a fucking... And you're probably... And she touched my daughter, that fucking bastard. And he's like, a child doctor, you fucking moron. You know? But speaking of like Twitter and whatever and vigilante justice on there, do you feel like a lot of the people jumping on that kind of cancel culture would be similar to the vigilantes in terms of like the pedophiles, for talk's sake, or have a bit too much of an interest in children? The anti-gay people, bit too much of an interest in male-on-male action. Do you think the same people maybe that are so anti and cancel people have their own agendas on Twitter, or do you think it's just, you know, like...
Because you're talking about so many people, you can't be like, everyone does or everyone doesn't.
I mean, listen, here in the Boytown podcast, we should just say, just call everybody out as being should we? Or...
No, I don't think we should.
Right, okay.
I don't think we should.
Okay.
Cancel that idea. Cancel culture for that idea. Hashtag cancel Dave Bonds. But what I would say is... Alex is talking to me. Alex is like, change the subject. What I would say is everyone who's like... Put it in terms of comedy. People going, you have to say this, you can't say that, you're not allowed to use that. Anyone who's saying that has to have never said anything wrong in their entire life. Ever. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you see, like, as a comedian, if somebody was like, you made this joke at a comedy club, I saw you a couple of weeks ago or whatever, that person needs to have never said anything wrong. Anything wrong. We've seen examples before where you almost see, like, you know, a stand-up having a joke taken out of context or whatever, and it's crazy. Like, obviously, don't get me wrong, if someone has done something like said something like horrendously offensive, and it just was meant as offensive, then you can understand having to be like be held accountable. But at the same time, that person's just like, no, fuck it, it's just words. Like, I don't know. It's a complicated thing that you got to take case by case. Like,
but I mean, I do think that there seems to be, like, in some cases, the actual intent in the beginning to, like, you know, maybe say clean up a scene or like make, so, you know, that then ends up being diluted by other things, you know, when it gets to the point where it's almost like you're just, you know, taking shots at somebody because you don't like them, whether there's nothing to do with your initial point. You're just like, oh, and go after Shane because his hair's like Hitler's, he's a racist because he's got hair like Hitler. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that's not actually anything wrong. It's just a pretty cum style. Because say what you want about A-hits, he had good fashion. You know, he was definitely a fashionista. You know, listen,
he was Hugo Boss brand ambassador. Like,
I should point this out. You know, maybe some of his opinions, you know, probably a wee bit out of line. We'll say that. We'll go
one of the worst guys in history. You know, but one of the worst guys in history.
Apart from that,
But I mean, Boss,
what I'm saying is, he getting bottle service in the club? Yes. No, he is. That's what I'm saying. He may have, once he was in the club and had a few shandies, he might have gone out of line. But, you know, is he getting behind the rope? Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. In your nightclub?
Yeah, he is. You know, A-Hits is an influencer of the past, you know, and some would say he probably had more influence maybe than some of the influencers today. With, as the old poem says, I think it might have actually been by Spiderman, he said that, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think maybe Adolf let his, I don't know if you could use the term, fuckboy status get the better of him, and he kind of was bang out of order a lot of times.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? There's Hitler being like, oh, it's the Aryan race, right? Which, by the way, I'm qualified to talk about, because I 100% look like the sort of guy that he would have had in front of a lecture.
But see, if we were back in the Hitler times, what our roles would be. You'd be a guy who owned a beautiful farmhouse in rural Germany, and I would be a guy with a plough strapped to his back walking around your field, and you would just be out there just watching me out the window, just loving it. This is fantastic.
And I would not agree with Hitler and his mates at all. In fact, I'd be like, in private, I'd be like, this guy, let's fucking sack him. Like, but then when the boys come round and they're like, you own a farm, how is this man working for you? Is it working out? I'd be all like, oh yeah, 100%, thanks lads, yeah, 100%. And then when they leave, I'd be like whispering with other farmers, but I would never say anything to them because, hey, murder squad, basically. But
I mean, that was actually the name of his group of boys that went into the clubs together. Yeah, A-Hits Murder Squad. You know, when they got behind the rope, they were very bad party boys.
But what's weird, like, right? Say this was back in the day, and you were a journalist in a Munich newspaper, and Hitler phoned you, and you phone him for an interview, and you go like, listen, you're talking about this master race, you know, people are starting to hear about you, starting to know about you.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about, you know, your master race? And Hitler would be like, yeah, well, like, it's basically like tall, you know, good frame, like, you know, muscular, blonde hair, blue-eyed, clean-shaven, strong guys. And the journalist would be like, right, actually, Adolf, would we be able to send our photographer to take some pictures of you for this article and talk about like you and your master race? And everyone, and Hitler would be like, no worries, mate, but just, I can't emphasize enough, it's blonde hair, blue-eyed, sexy boys. That's what I want. That's all I want to see. And then the photographer would be like, listen, you got to go, you're meeting this guy Adolf Hitler, he's talking a lot of shit, take some photos of him, come back. And then the guy would go, because this is at the very start, this would be at the very start, and the photographer arranged to meet him in like Munich city centre at 10 a.m. on a
Beside a fountain,
beside a fountain. The photographer gets there and he's like looking around for this fucking, like, he's heard about these Aryan guys, and he's like, all right, maybe give him a minute or two. And then he actually doesn't have a watch on him, and he wants to make sure he's got the wrong time. So he sees this fucking, he sees this rat guy with his nightmare hair and a wee tash, just looking like fucking really, really rank. And he goes up to him and he's like, listen, mate, can I just, is it 10 in the morning? And the guy's like, yeah, it is. And he goes, sweet, fucking taking photos of this model here. And he's like, what do you mean? He was like, yeah, this blonde hair, blue eye Hitler guy, apparently he's fucking hot. You know, and that's the point where Hitler would be like, hey man, get ready for a curveball.
Yeah. I mean, like, oh, well. Yeah, it's like
why was he obsessed with this master race when he himself wasn't? That's like people saying, you can't say this, you can't say that. And then they're probably also saying things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, what I think is probably, in terms of podcasts, that's maybe the best point that's ever been made on a podcast in order to get an example of a point across. But that, I think what you're saying is, you know, if you're not, you know, if you're not the person that you're preaching against, so if you're not the opposite of them, you know, it's a problem. Whereas if you're sitting saying, oh, everybody should be blonde haired, blue eyed and sexy, and you're a little rat guy with a stump mustache, then you gotta just, you know, you gotta get fucked. You know, there's only so much.
If you're telling people what they can and can't say, you have to more than 100% be toeing that line yourself. So you have to. So,
and you know what? I think too in comedy, if you are afraid to say something, you shouldn't do comedy. You know what I mean? I think that if you're going to do a joke, you should, in my opinion, you should be able to talk about whatever you want, providing, like, so say for example, there have been times where I've seen comics and gone, oh no, why are they saying that? Like, I'd say they're bang out of order or it's meant. Whereas you should be able to technically say whatever you want and be able to, if you can justify it and get yourself out of it and make it funny, you know. But again, if you're starting to be like, you can't joke about this, you can't joke about that. Like, for example, right, on our local scene, there was a bit of a thread went on about what can and can't be said in certain things. And it was, I think it was to do with, like, say, a camp accent. Like, people can't do camp accents. But then the same people who were basically being like, yeah, it's totally inappropriate, you can never do that, were the same ones who at a roast was just basically calling every comedian really fat. You know what I mean? So if you can't be offensive to somebody about one thing, you know, I never want to be called fat again, or I'm going to police, put it like that. You know?
Like my problem is like with stand up, just be funny, just get on stage and be funny.
Yeah,
just
and
do
you think more?
I don't want to explain jokes. I don't want to do any of that because, by the way, like I can, but it would be so boring.
Yeah,
to sit and be like, you know what I mean? I can provide so many like, well, here's actually the crack with this, and then people would be like, well, people would look like a dick for questioning that thing. That makes sense.
Yeah, but listen, we just keep having a silly time and being funny and making people laugh. That's it. And I mean, you know, if some people are offended, you know what they can do? Oh no. Oh no. I was going to say get fucked there, but I don't want to offend anybody, so I'll just stop myself before I get ahead.
Look, it's silly. Stand up is silly. Like, I have a problem if someone gets, like, people can say whatever they want to me. Like, no one's going to offend me with anything in a comedy club, right? Unless, like, you have this fucking bit about, like, very sexy guys. Like,
Aryan guys?
But, about Aryan guys, in which case I'm going to walk out, right? But at the same time, if someone gets up on stage and says, fucking immigrants coming over here, what we should do after the gig is go around, find some, and just evict them from their houses. At that point, you go, hey, cut his mic, and you don't get to do stand-up here again. You know?
No, there has been a couple of times where I've maybe seen a new comedian come up, and actually I've heard a bit similar to that, and then whenever he came off, I was like, hey, guy, you can't be doing that. You know, there's certain terms.
Message me the name. Message me the name.
I was like, hey, guy, you can't be... You can't be doing that. And he was like, oh, I thought you could. And I'm like, nah, you just can't. There, I've done that there. Yeah. I mean, he was just using the term, you know what Tyson Fury's nickname is, but with like the king. He was just going around saying, these guys coming in here, fucking go back to your caravans. I was going, guy, you know, don't be doing that. And he was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize. And I was like, yeah. There's a problem there, you know, but thankfully I've seen him since then, and there's been no more bits like that. Now, to be fair, he did go hard in on homosexuals, and that was, you know, a bit different, but, you know, you can only ask a leopard to do so much, but at the end of the day, he'll be spotty, you know. So, there was that.
Wow.
And how are you feeling now anyway, Mr. Aryan? I mean, would that be a nickname you could take? How are you feeling now anyway? Are you prepared? See, when I went to stop the fire in my house, did you explain what was happening? You're having a che?
Yeah.
So what's your feelings about it? Are you excited? Are you nervous?
Well, I'm nervous because one of the procedures I actually had in the bodrum, fucking whatever the place was called, I can't remember, but I'm carrying it.
I mean, you look very lean.
Yeah, I'll be honest though, that's the only one they did slightly wrong, because can I be honest with you? It's on my back.
All right. Right, okay. I mean, that's definitely something. And again, people can't bully you because it looked like you've got some kind of like spinal problem, which is pretty sweet. So do you have any questions you'd like to, you know, ask me? Some advice?
A spinal problem, sweet. My sister has spina bifida. I don't think it's been ever described as sweet.
But I mean, it's like anything, isn't it? If life gives you lemons, it's what you do with it. You know, do you either be bitter or do you make a really fucking tasty gin? You know what I mean? If you've got a spinal problem, do you just do you moan about it, or do you upcycle your back? That's what I'm saying. Do you like paint a wee something on it, or do you make it stand out?
Whenever I got teased at school for having like quite a big weird shaped head, like you say, life gives you lemons, you got to make it tasty gin. Yeah. All I did was like follow people's eyes around, so they never saw the back of my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I contact man.
Yeah.
really intense guy.
Worst Marvel superheroes. Eye contact man.
Oh, that's great. Like, can you imagine if you're just like you're out at a bar or something and you just happen to catch eye contact with him across the bar, and the rest of the night he's just falling. You're like, "What are you doing?" Sorry, I'm eye contact, man. Once we get into the gaze, you're not getting out of it.
Once you're locked, you're in. Yeah,
So,
no, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fresh. I'm eating a very clean diet at the minute, and
nice.
it's a good time.
Is there anything you want to?
I was sicky boo for a couple of days, but I bounced
Yeah.
back.
Is there anything you want to ask me? Any tips? Any life hacks you want to make life a bit easier for you?
Nope.
Oh,
I told you a life hack, and I'll tell you this before
Yeah.
I go because I'm going to go here. But a life hack I can give to everybody is if you want a little bit of quiet time from your husband, your wife, your parents, whoever, and you share a house, one thing you want to do is this. You sit down on a seat. So say everyone's downstairs, go upstairs or vice versa. Sit, just take a bit of time, just sit. Just have like an hour long sit down, chill. But sit with one shoe on and one in your hand. One shoe on, one in your hand. And the lace is undone. And then eventually when someone comes in and goes, "What are you doing? Where are you been?" Go, "Just sticking my shoes on here."
I see. But what I'm going to say to you, honestly, is see that luxury. Yeah. It's about to go. Never will you ever have peace ever again. Ever. 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 You'll never be able to just sit. See, tonight is your good lady wife. Is she in bed sleeping? A minute?
No, not a minute.
Right, okay. We'll say she was asleep. I want you to sit and just sit in peace. Listen to the clock tick. That wasn't a slip of the tongue. Listen to just the silence of the house. Enjoy the birds in the morning. Out of the flying type. Don't be promiscuous. It's not good. So what I would say to do is just enjoy those moments. Enjoy going to the toilet to do the poo with the door shut. Enjoy being able to eat a meal from start to finish. And, enjoy. Just you like to play, don't you? I know you don't play PlayStation anymore. You're more into like figures. So maybe just like, play Action Man for a bit yourself and really enjoy it. Maybe like play out a scene where Action Man dies or something, or he retires, and just basically say goodbye to your toys and stuff.
All right, dude. Well, listen.
Yeah. Oh whoa!
I'm checking out and going up to space.
I do want to say bye-bye to people because this could be the last time you're on for a while, really.
Yeah. Listen, I'll probably be away for like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm very keen to see who you replace me with.
Yeah, I mean, I have been speaking to Michael Stone, so it's possible that he's going to come on with his pretty dope hair.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to take off. But Boytown listeners, let's keep making Boytown great again. Love you all. Listen, it's a bit like when your parents divorce, just temporarily. Love your daddy because he loves you. So I want you to be good for Papa Bear. Yeah. And I'll see you all very soon. Good morning. Davey, love you.
Yes, love you too. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And he is gone, and there was one. So, guys, basically what I'm going to do now is, again, this is behind the kind of elaborate type stuff here that you don't see, but I'm keeping a wee timer because in Zoom you don't have that. So if you see me looking at my phone a wee bit, I'm just keeping sure the time is all right. I don't know why I told you that. There's probably no need for that, but let me just get into the listeners' questions here. There's been quite a few this week, which is great. It's all part of the hashtag Make Boytown Great Again. So let's see the questions in here. Where are we at? Not a question, just a funny little video. Richard McClay said, "Bon dia, chicas. With the hospitality sector slowly opening once again, is there any news of a rescheduled NI/world tour for DJ Richard's System?" For those of you who've been listening to the podcast for a long time, DJ Richard's System was a character that featured on the, I guess you'd say, it was the phone call segment. Shane had to phone a hotel, try to book a room as the character DJ Richard's System, which, I mean, very strange name. I don't know where that came from, what the relevance of DJ Richard's System was, but for us at the time. Very funny. So I mean, listen. I think it's a very big leap for Richard System to do, just go straight from an NI tour to a world tour. But that's kind of what System's like. So I mean, I think once we're allowed in venues, we'll reschedule the Richard System tour. We're definitely actually planning at the minute to do a live Boy Town for episode 200, because we're at 181 now. So we're sneaking up, and hopefully in another 19 weeks we'll be allowed to do stuff. I guess Matthew Mernon said, "Hey cuties, what fun activity for kids would Davey be putting on at a summer school to rival Keith Cruz's?" Obviously Shane's got Keith Cruz, who's putting out very funny video clips at the minute as Keith Cruz in a soccer school for the wee lads and the girls. And I mean, if I was to put on something, a rivalry for that, I would maybe have a big barbecue club, just Davey's meat locker. And people would just come with sauce and grills and meat. You bring your own meat. The bigger, the better. We grill it up. We eat it. Nom, nom, nom. So I'd have Davy's Grill Club, the meat locker, for all just boys. I'd be slide girls because I've got a wife and a daughter. So if it was just lads only, I'd get my head charged for 5 hours or whatever the summer school is. Baz Lowry has said, "Hey, come lords, can you get Dave to say Lynn Lithgow again?" I mean, I don't know if I can, but I'll try Lynn Lithgow. There you go, Baz. Cheers for that. Your friend of mine, the artist formerly known as Davy Witt, now known as Davy, has said, "Morning lovelies, what is your favourite breakfast to make for yourselves at home? The more details, the better." This is an interesting one because maybe my favourite breakfast would not be one I would make at home. It's obviously a fry. You get a big fry, cup of tea, bish bash bosh. You can't be having that every day, or you're on a one-way ticket to heart attacksville. So on a day-to-day basis, I would probably say, like recently I'm eating bagels. And I say bagels, just a bagel, because I'm trying to not eat loads, but also enough to fill my wee tummy. So I'm having just a wee bagel in the morning, which is nice. I like to prepare it. Only put a wee sliver of butter on it, not too much, because again, you don't want to get that ticker going. But most days, if I'm being good, porridge. But at the minute, I'm trying bagels, a wee cup of black coffee, bingo. But if we're getting a fry, this is a big thing. You got to have 2 sausages, 2 bacon, 2 eggs, toast, hash brown, black pudding, mushrooms. You can keep a wee fried grilled tomato because, and then you don't need beans either. Get the red sauce and a pot of tea. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Mildred's a girl lives next door who you don't really know, but you know her name, and it's almost stalkery that you get on that well there. Anyway, there's Davey. Daniel Bennett said, "Good afternoon to the boys. I've been with you for a year now, but would you consider making a dictionary of Boytown terms like water, cricket, Cunanan, water babies to catch your listeners up to speed? We are an inclusive society." I mean, that's something that we just assume that people have been listening from day one. We do sort of feel that Boytown is very much a cult podcast. We have been described as that. I think it was CUL to LT, I think, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do that. I'll give it a rattle now. Obviously, water is the life-giving source. If something is water, it's great. It's as good as it can be. If it's cricket, it's shit, because let's face it, cricket is shit. Cunanan is, to be fair, it's something that's sly but sassy and respect. You can understand, you can get it. To do something like, it would be very Cunanan to shave your friend's eyebrows off and tattoo very sleek eyebrows on, like not like stupid drawn on ones, but like make them like chic. That would be Cunanan. It's also Cunanan to murder people, but we'll swing past that. And water babies are just these characters who just basically, patrol the rivers and look out for people. The water babies are mythical characters based in real life, which is an oxymoron, if anything, but they are fantastic little characters. But I mean, if people want to send us in words, we could do the dictionary. That could be a job for Ben, the Snake Rat guy, to do. Johnny Bow has said, "Dear Papa Bear and the Money Stoat, were there any other names for the show before settling on Boytown?" No, I want to say, because we went to a place called Boys Town in Los Angeles, and it was very us. It was very boy town. It was very cum. Actually, there's another word, Mr. Bennett. Cum means, um, yeah, cum is like very sassy, very. There's Yas Queen is cum basically. But yeah, it was Boys Town, and we just thought, this is it. Well, this is Boy Town, and this is what we do. So that's what we went for that with. Gary Fletcher said, Papa B and Money Toad, where should you muck your head for a stag do? And are you lads up for coming? Well, I mean, I would say probably just the kitchen, the way things are going now. But if you're allowed out and about, I've been on plenty of stag do's. The ones that stand out for me, with my own personal one in Lisbon, it was 10 out of 10. Great spot. Recommend there. Budapest's a good show too, but the last time I was there, it had gone up in price a bit. Whenever I went for a stag do, cheap and cheerful, good stuff. Last time I went, it's a bit cool to go there now, so a bit expensive. But you can't go wrong with Prague. Again, you go once to Prague and never go back, but because you'll be banned for life. But it's a very enjoyable place. Or if you want to stay in the UK, you can always have fun in places such as Edinburgh. You can have fun in Manchester, Liverpool, Cardiff, good places for a good time. Or if you don't want to leave, you want to stay local, head up Carlingford. Great spot. I'm the stag man, by the way. Just any stag questions, come at me. Mike Hilton, Paris' dad, said, afternoon chorizo child and Papa Saucisio. If you could have been a member of any band from the not too distant past, who'd it be and why? Muchas gracias. You'd be a member of any band. Slipknot, because you just wear a mask and no one will bother you when you're out at Tesco's getting yourself some bread and milk. That would be who I'd like to be. I'd like to be a band that you don't, or the Gorillas. They'd be a good one, so you don't know who you are, but you get all the money and you can get peace. Because I saw a thing on the TV last night about a boy band. I think it was Take That, and it was just a documentary about them, the height of their fame, and the guys couldn't literally walk like themselves without being mobbed. And I'm too old for that now. So yeah, go for a Slipknot. Killian Cahill, hey Sultans of Satanic Spooge, the villain is in the new house. Or is in the house, not even the new house. I was getting excited there. I was like, if you moved house, you've got a new lair, but alas not. My question this week revolves around the fact that the famous Hollywood strongman Chuck Norris first is actually Carlos. Very cum. But what I want to know is, what is Papa Bear and NBC's full names? Middle names must be included. Shane's is Stuart, and mine is Robert, so you can just call Stu and Bobby. That's something that we would take on board. Stu and Bobby, the Boytown Massive. Rory Miller said, good morning, Davish, Agus Shanish. Glad to hear that the Human ATM and Papa Physique can finally get back into the gym and get a sweet pump on. Now lockdown is over a bit. I've been flat out in training with the workouts, but the two sweetest looking guys in Boytown wanted to put on a class for the citizens. What sort of moves can we expect? I'm thinking clean and jerks, bent over rows, downward dogs, with stretching to look after the DOMs. And that is delayed onset muscle soreness as opposed to a contraceptive sheath. I would say, yeah, you'd have a lot of push and pulls in there, which just be bench press, rows, RDLs. You'd have some exercise band routines, and of course a lot of gluteal exercises. You do a lot of squats, a lot of split-legged squats, sumo squats. You just be squatting until your booty was shredded, looking like a box of kebab meat. Michael Kerr has sent in a clip to Elton John performing I'm Still Standing at the One Together home tour, and that was the worst ever performance that I've ever seen from a guy. So if you want to check out that, it's Elton John singing I'm Still Standing, One World Together at Home. I'm not going to play it on this because it'll probably get cancelled off of YouTube, but Elton's retired, and when you watch this you can see why. Daryl Burns said, hello to the nation's little brother and to the ever mystical bear in the big Boytown house. With the Empire always going, what will be the local location of the first Boytown embassy / consulate? Or with the Empire always growing, I thought you meant the Empire Bar, which we're not invited to. But But the location of the first embassy, it's going to be the old location where Pipeworks were in Union Street. That is the spiritual home, in case people correct me. And the spiritual home of Boytown is in Pipeworks. You know, we live there. We are still, you know, in the walls in many respects in the Pipeworks studio. So we would say that would be where the home would be. Chris Kavanagh, boys, I don't know if I'm too late, but speaking of the 12th, we weren't, but I love that. What sort of designs would the Candelabra lads have if they had their own band? Talking name, uniforms, loyalist covers, a cheeky song. Stay safe, boys. You didn't hear from me, but a friend of a friend told me there's some sort of virus out there. Oh, fuck's sake, Chris. You know, let me see. If you mean us or Liberace, because Liberace and Scott from the movie Behind the Candelabra did have gear, as in clothes that would look like a loyalist band would wear it. To be totally honest, they look like a lot of loyalist bands when they're dressed up for the stage show. Whenever he's dressed as a chauffeur, when Scott's a chauffeur, looks great, you know. So I think that would be it. In terms of cover songs, let me see what sort of, you know, songs would they do. I mean, they would have to make it local based tunes. You know, they'd have to have, like, obviously the Billy Boys would be the Cum Boys, which, I mean, hello, we are the Cum Boys. I don't know if that would be well received within the loyalist community. You know, I'm not sure about that. I think the sash wouldn't be old and beautiful. I think it would be fucking very chic and bespoke and tailored in Milan. Yeah, let me see what other stuff is there. The name of the band would be say, I know the local band here in North Down's the North Down Defenders. So I think if it was Liberace, it'd be the Los Angeles Sasquatches, which would just be sassy guys with a lot of fur on their uniforms, just walking. And again, they would play, you know, the flute, you know, very sexually, let's just say. But again, I don't think there's a place for that in current bandstands. Matt Rooney has said, maybe I'm late to the party, but did the Cum Bubble Boys see the video going around about Carol Baskin giving shout-outs to Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile? Yeah, we did see that, and it was fully ridiculous. Basically, Carol Baskin of the Tiger King fame disappeared and hadn't been seen in a while, and then returned and did a shout-out to our boys Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile, as she calls him. So it was very enjoyable to see. On the Twitter, I have loads of questions this week, and I love it, guys. If he was here, we would have had a really great time with this. But unfortunately, you know, the wee man has to go and look after her indoors, which I totally get. So you're stuck with me and deal with it. Morgan Schutz, who sounds like a very South African guy, has said, all right, Papa Bear and the Quid Kid was listening through some of the old podcasts, and the Money Toad's voice gets higher every week. Is this due to the impending fear of childbirth or because of my overwhelming masculinity? I mean, let's face it, I am a very masculine guy, and it's tough to deal with sometimes. So it could be that. Or, I mean, I think since he's been to Bodrum, he has had Bodrum, not Bodrum. It sounds like the drum that they play like that. I think he just is he hasn't hit puberty yet. He's a child's voice and a child's body and a woman's face, but that's him. It works for him. George Aaron. Well, his actually name's George Garon. Weird. Will Quacks be part of the Make Boytown Great Again movement, even if it's just extra content for the Patreon peeps? Some of the finest comedy gold from them Quacks. Still chocolate Richard O'Brien one from yonks ago. Look, we are restructuring at the moment. I suppose I can probably say there's going to be a new couple of podcasts going on the Patreon. I'm going to be doing Papa Bear's Picnic, which is going to be kind of like the weekly rundown that it did on a Sunday about the Sunday papers. So I'm going to pick probably the sassiest story from the Sunday papers and do kind of a study on it. And that's going to be that. Shane's going to do the Money Toads Lily Pad, which I don't know what's going to be yet. It's up to him. We kind of have to look after our own things. Mark Beggs has said, good morning, Sultans of Sexy. When lockdown finally comes to an end, what are the first things the big bad booty daddy and the freak are looking forward to the most? I love that. See, to be honest with you, I think I'm going to probably, I've been doing stuff, to be fair. I've got my hair cut. I went out for dinner. I missed the cinema, but then I've heard a rumor pick and mixes are gone. They all have to be wrapped up and all now. I hate that. So that's the only reason I went to cinema was pick and mix. So fuck the cinema if that's what's happening. Or fuck that guy at the bat for taking pick and mix off me. Jamie Blobby's just simply said good morning, which is great. Rebus has said, hello, Grand Sheiks of Shite Talk. With this week's revelation that the power behind the throne is terrified of little bunny rabbits. Do you boys have any other irrational fears? Now, let me just say, I am not terrified of bunny rabbits. I was the victim of an assault by a bunny rabbit, which jumped from the ground to the air where my hand was and tried to bite my finger. It scared the shit out of me. It went from being a small little furry bunny rabbit into, for some reason, being 5'2" with teeth like barbed wire. And that was terrifying. And I was a younger boy at the time. It scared me. Didn't like it, and I just don't trust them now. And I don't trust it because the wee beady eyes inside their head, not looking straight forward. They're always looking behind them. Freaks. All right, my other fears, I'm just completely terrified of heights. It's nothing irrational. It's just factual. Heights scare the shit out of me. I'm frightened. I don't like it. I feel like we should not be that far off the ground. Otherwise, God would have given us wings, but he has not. So I feel like I don't like going to heights. I don't, because I think if I'm up high, there's a chance I might fall, and then I die. Whereas if I remain on the ground, I'm safer. So that's that. I went to Table Mountain once in South Africa, and was there on a school trip, and everyone was like, "Oh, go to the edge of the mountain, get a photo off the edge." I had to crawl on all fours to the edge, and I say the edge, I was 5 meters from the edge. So there's me, like Gary Barlow, at the front of the photo, and then people behind me because I was too afraid of heights. Because again, I'm all about self-preservation. I don't want to die. And I feel like if I'm at heights, my legs will get all weak and then I'll fall. And Shane, in terms of his rational fears, is salmonella. Check the how he checks his meat in previous episodes. And the last question, the last question of the day. The last question today is from Connor Dolan. He says, good morning, Papa Bear and Dick. Oh, no. I thought it's Dick and Crone's boy, but I just thought it was and Dick, which I enjoyed. Good morning, Papa Bear and Dick. With lockdown easing, have you two sexy chaps got any holidays planned staying on the Emerald Isle? Well, I'm going to say no, we don't have anything planned per se. In fact, we have, the two of us have something planned, but it's top secret at the minute. But in terms of my own holidays, the next holiday I'm going on as a holiday guy is to the south of England next year sometime, when we're going to have a wee baby. So it's exciting, I guess, going on holidays, and I have missed my holidays seriously. But it's one of those things that, it's a pandemic. You can do what you can do, and that's about it. But I would love to be going somewhere warm, like a wee Spanish summer holiday. It'd be nice, somewhere in the south of France. Be very sexy. But alas, that isn't going to happen. So we have to improvise. That being said, the country we live in, the island of Ireland as a whole, without people going there, beautiful place, lots to see. Last time we were pregnant with Holly, we went to the Ring of Kerry, which was beautiful, really nice time. Again, we'd like to go on I'd like to go on a trip with my wife without the kids sometime, because anytime we're on holiday, she's pregnant, and if I just get absolutely gargled, drink 3 bottles of wine and whatever, and she's not drinking, I look like a bad guy. So yeah, I'm definitely excited about getting back to doing fun things again, going on holidays, just having a drink without looking like a problematic person. That's kind of where we're at. Speaking of problematic, we've managed to ride out this podcast to the end. Next week, we'll have a guest host. If you want to get into the Boytown DMs with suggestions, come and let me know who you'd like to step in. Let me know who you'd like to fill Shane's hole for the next 2 weeks, and we'll get somebody in. Other than that, subscribe in all the channels at Boytown Podcast. Rate and review the podcast if you haven't already. Subscribe to the patreon.com/Boytown Podcast. There's going to be some new stuff going on very soon. Other than that, once again, hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have, share it with a friend, do whatever, put it in your Instagram stories. Boytown's listening figures are starting to really sneak up now. So if you guys enjoy it, share it, because you see all the other fucking podcasts, all the other Tom, Dicks and Harry's being shared across Instagram and other shit. Not this one. Make Boytown great again. Get it shared. Tell your mates. Get it done. See you next week. Love you. Bye.